Okay, so in this video what we're going to do is we're going to look at the LFO, or the LFO page within the Syntakt. Low frequency, which we can use to adjust different parameters. So for example, if I had a set sine wave set at 50 Hz, and this was a sine wave that was going up and down, so one cycle would be 1 Hz. So if that were doing that 50 times a second, I could then attach that frequency to a parameter. So for example, if I go over to the frequency page, so if I assign an LFO, which is a sine wave, to this frequency, what it would be doing is it would be going up like that, and then it would be coming back down and then up again, and it would be doing that 50 times per second because it's at 50 Hz. If it was at 10 Hz, it would be doing it 10 times a second, or if it was 1000 Hz, it would be doing it 1000 times a second. So this is the idea behind the LFO, and within the Syntakt we can set the speed, and we can multiply that speed by either the BPM and the multiplier, or it can be in free form. So I'll just work through each one of these parameters just to tell you what it is and what it does. So starting with speed, SPD. Speed sets the overall speed of the LFO. Try in settings of 8, 16 or 32 to sync the LFO to straight beats. The knob is bipolar. The LFO cycles can be placed backwards by using negative values. Multi or MULT. Multiplier multiplies a speed parameter by the set factor by either multiplying the current tempo BPM setting or multiplying at a fixed tempo of 120 BPM. So what this means is, if we have BPM written above the number, this means that it is going to times whatever BPM we have set on this tempo page. So if we have set it to, let's just say 130, and we go back to here, we times it by 2, that's going to times our BPM by 2. So it would be 260, and then so forth. And depending on the speed, these two work together to give you the overall speed of what you're trying to achieve. So next up is fade. This fades in and out. It makes it possible to fade in and out the LFO modulation. It's basically an attack and release of the LFO. The knob is bipolar. Positive value gives a fade out and negative value gives a fade in. 0 is no fade in or fade out. So with the X as it is, that is not fading in for it fading out. So positive number is fade out, and negative numbers are fading. So if you're wanting a nice sound but you're only wanting the LFO to activate after a certain amount of time, then you would use this setting to do that. And vice versa with the release. If you're wanting it at the start of your sound but then you don't want it to carry on as the sound evolves, then you would fade it out. DEST or destination. Destination selects the modulation destination for the LFO. So when I click on this destination button, what we do, or what we have, is an option to where we want to assign this LFO to. So for example, SYN is on the synth page, FLTR is on the filter page, AMP is on the AMP page. So we can assign the LFO to any one of these parameters within these pages. So for example, if I set it to the tune, I will click on yes. That is now set this LFO to the tune, which is here. And then what we can do, if we play a note and we set the depth up, that is activating the waveform, and it is activating this going up and down, like that. So that's the destination. Wave sets the LFO waveform. So what we have is we have triangle, sine wave, square wave, sawtooth, expo, ramp, and random. SPH, so if I just take that back to triangle, SPH, so SPH is the start phase of what point of the waveform you want it to go on. So if we turn this to the right, all it does is just select a different start point. The mode is a trigger mode, and this sets the LFO how it will act when a note is triggered. So what modes we have is free, trig, hold, one, and half. So free, this is the default free running mode. It makes the LFO run continuously, never resetting or stopping even if the note is triggered. Trigger or trig, this makes the LFO restart when a note is triggered. Hold makes the LFO run freely in the background, but when the note is triggered, the LFO level is latched and held until the next note is triggered. 1. The LFO starts when a note is triggered, then runs to the end of the waveform and then stops. This makes the LFO function similar to an envelope. And then half. The LFO starts when a note is triggered and then runs in the middle of the waveform and then stops. Depth or DEP. This sets the depth of polarity of the LFO modulation. Both negative, inverted, and positive modulation depths are possible. A setting of 0 equals no modulation depth. This goes exactly the same for LFO2 page. So we've got two LFOs that can be assigned to any of these parameters. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a little mess about, show you what we can do with these LFOs, assign them to different parameters, just come up with different stuff, have a look at different modes, different speed settings, fades, and all the stuff that we can do. So I'm going to head over to a different track, which is going to be this chord. And then I'll go over to this LFO and So as you can see, we can come up with a numerous amount of different interesting things, and once you get a nice setting that you do like, you can then just see what they sound like. On other parameters like that. I like that one. And that is basically what the LFO page and what the LFOs does in the Syntakt. And that's it really for the Syntakt page. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've learnt something from it, then please just like, subscribe, comment in the sections below if you want to know anything else, and also check out the other videos that I've done within the Syntakt series. I hope you've enjoyed it again, and I will see you in the next one.